Okay, on to the NFC conference, starting with the NFC East. You want to go ahead and kick this off?
I'll pass it.
I'll take it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm saying Dallas take this. I'm saying Dallas take this. Contrary to popular belief, everybody want to say Dak Prescott ain't doing what he's supposed to do, but I see differently. Dallas wins. Philly goes with the wild card.
It's like
Dallas has been kind of up and down for this season, but they've been somewhat holding on. They're not in the top 6 tier, I'll say that, but they still have that factor. They can go. They probably play up potential. They got to keep their momentum going, and what they're looking at for the rest of their season. I mean,
the one thing that they do have in their favor is that they've played their 8 games.
Mm-hmm.
Philly's played 9. Dallas is 5-3. Philly is 5-4. So by technicality, Dallas has got that one leg up, that one extra. But it's whether or not they can hold it. Taking a look at things, Philly, I think, has played and dominated some pretty tough teams. They got the win against Green Bay. They got the winner against Buffalo. I know they dropped that game against Dallas, but Dallas rose to the occasion knowing that was a decision maker.
Yep.
If Dallas didn't win that game, that was a statement win for Dallas. So looking at the rest of the schedule,
it's tough.
It is tough.
They're going against some.
Philly's got New England coming off a bye, and as we've seen, that one coming off a bye, and their sole focus is New England. They need to take it. But even after they do, they've got Seattle. Miami is a winnable game for Philly. Giants is winnable. Washington's winnable. Then they got Dallas again in Philadelphia, ending with the Giants. So even if they drop New England, and we're talking about Philly, they've definitely got an easier schedule. Dallas, on the other hand, they got Minnesota coming up.
Nothing but defenses for the rest
right?
of the
With the exception of Detroit.
Well, Detroit doesn't have it.
Detroit does have a defense.
Not a very good one. They've been giving up way too many
Detroit you've been watching.
But they gave up too many points, but they gave up too many points.
Yeah, if you take a look on the sheet I printed out, where is Detroit on here?
Detroit. Right here.
So you can see how many points against them.
Right.
They've given up. Look at that, 217 points.
Dallas
has only given up 124. 142.
Yeah.
So I mean that's a significant, and part of that is because Detroit's defense just doesn't know how to get after the ball, which is surprising when you consider that Matt Patricia is coming from the Belichick, as his defensive coordinator. So why can't he translate it over? Now I give you one thing though, the defense for Detroit this year is definitely better than last year. The teams are finally getting in line with Matt Patricia. So I think that this is just another building year for him, and it's something that he's going to be able to improve upon going into next season.
I don't think it's a building year because I've been keeping up with their games, and they're only losing because of situations that happen that's pretty much out of their control.
That's football.
Yeah,
you take a look at
if
you take a look at their wins, they beat the Chargers in week 2. They beat Philly in Philly, which Philly at that time was struggling.
Right.
Then they go on a losing streak to Kansas City, Green Bay, and Minnesota,
which are good teams.
And then they lose. Then they finally went to the Giants, and they lose to Oakland.
But if you can't beat the good teams, Chuck, this is the thing.
It's not that they
you're not beating. You're not like. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
They lost by.
You're still losing,
but you're still losing.
Close.
Actually, it's not even a field goal. It's less than 7.
But at the end of the day, you lost. It doesn't matter. You
not discrediting the losses. What I'm saying is we cannot sit there and say they're trying to rebuild.
No, we're not talking about something to build upon. I didn't say they're rebuilding.
Right. What I'm saying is we can't sit there. All I'm saying is I just don't want the narrative to be that they're still. They're all teams are still adding. What I'm saying is even to the good teams with the lack of what they have, they only were a touchdown away.
Well,
that's not a whole lot.
Their teams that
still says a lot about the defense. I mean, that defense needs to do better. They need to find a way to get the stops.
That's the problem. You're not winning. The teams you have to beat are these top tier teams. When you talk about Dallas's next schedule, this is what you're saying. You got to go. You're going up against a dynamic offense in Minnesota. You're going up against a dynamic offense in Detroit. You're going up against probably premier offense in New England. Then you get Buffalo and Chicago. Chicago's defense alone will give you problems, but they're not going to put up enough points to beat you if you can score. Then you go Los Angeles Rams. Come on, really? They have the potential to blow you out the water. And then you come to Philly again. They can beat you at any given Sunday. If Dallas is on point and they play right, 5 of those games that we predicted they might lose, they could actually win 3 or 4.
Right now I have for Dallas they have 3 winnable, and then this is the thing: I have 3 definite winnable games for Dallas and 4 winnable for Philly. Now they're tough matchups. For Dallas, Minnesota, Detroit, I give them credit. That is not an easy out, but that is a winnable game. Then they have New England, Carolina, and Philly. Now, Philly is going to want revenge. I don't know how that's going to play out. It really does depend on who gets the upper hand early. But Rams, they could lose too, and definitely New England. I mean, so we're definitely looking at Dallas as a solid 8, but to take the division, they're probably going to have to do.
I just don't see them taking the division. I think Philly squeeze them by. The reason why is I'm looking at the first half of the schedule. They struggled against all defenses. Dallas offense struggled against all defenses. The games that they lost and the games that they barely won, they struggled. New
Orleans, Green Bay, and the one that they should have beat but didn't was the Jets.
But the Jets have a good defense. It's just the offense lets them down with the turnovers.
They should.
That's what I'm saying. They struggle against good defense.
Philly has good defense, and they blew them out the water.
Philly's secondary is questionable at best. That's why people are throwing them.
But that's okay. When we say these things, this is an opinion thing, right?
I got that.
So when I look at this, Dallas went through this hard first 9 weeks, right? Yeah. Here you go. You finally got a roll. You don't want 2 in a row. You done beat one team that you had problems with last year, and you beat another team that's changing up. Now you finna run up against Minnesota. And you don't know which Minnesota team you're going to get. Either you're going to get the badass Minnesota that's putting up points, or you're going to get the Minnesota team that let you down. They've been on a 3-game win streak.
And one of the commentators, I can't remember if it was ESPN or who it was, but they made a comment that there seems to be a trend there with Kirk Cousins not playing optimally on the spotlight, meaning Sunday night and Monday night games.
Monday night games is not his best game.
That's Sunday night game. So if Dallas pulls this off, that it could very well be a statement win going into Detroit. Now that is on a road game, so you got to give Detroit at least a little bit of an edge. Yeah. But New England, I'm giving New England the edge. Even if they drop those 2, they're going to be able to outscore Buffalo unless Buffalo makes some adjustments. And then they got Chicago. That's a winnable game. Rams, get it?
Now the thing about the Rams is
and then Philly and Washington. Washington's a give. I'm giving them Washington. Washington hasn't been able to do much.
That's a 10-6
and it's primarily I have to put it on the fact that they're running Haskins. I mean, if you want to win, you need to put in somebody that can actually run your offense.
Yes. I just don't see Dallas getting 10. I don't see it.
Well, then Philly will take the division.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying Philly's going to edge out and win the division. I don't see Dallas.
Well, either one of them wins, the other one is in the playoffs.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is we're talking with Dallas in particular. I'm just saying the offense has is proven for a fact. When they went up against a good defense, Dak struggled.
We'll definitely see in Chicago, and that's week 14 and 15 where they play Chicago and Rams.
And even if they, I'm possibly might giving Dallas maybe even New England. The other ones,
I don't, because that's in New England.
What I'm saying, the only reason I'm saying,
Patriot fan gave them.
The only reason I'm saying possibly because if they really stick to and actually improve their offensive calls and offensive play calling around Zeke. And get those gaps open, like because Baltimore set the standard for that. Hey, let's put our game plan around the run, and they won, soundly won. Mm-hmm. So if Dallas does that, they go, hey, let's put Zeke and Pollard on the ground, and possibly have some bootlegs for Zeke. They can possibly beat the New England Patriots. That's what I'm saying.
They can do that. But they can do that with pretty much the whole run.
They can't do that for the whole run because the other Minnesota, Detroit, Chicago, Buffalo, they all have good run defenses. They're going to stop that. New England in particular does not have the best run defense. They have like we were talking about opportunistic. They'll seek for that ball, but they're running. Oh no, that's not happening.
If there's a fumble, they're on it. If there's a chance to even knock it out of the sky, they take it. You know, if they see an opportunity, they jump on it. They don't even hesitate anymore.
I think they're going to be 9-6. That's just me.
Well, I mean, and that's very, very good. Well, I mean, it very well could be. But definitely spent too much time on the NFC East. Let's go ahead and talk about the NFC North. Green Bay obviously got a stranglehold here with a 7-2. Minnesota definitely close behind with a 6-3. Detroit, Chicago, not at this point, not even going to make the playoffs. So, but no, I mean, it is the one that Charger win with the way that they just hit Green Bay in the mouth, kept hitting them. That run game was dominant, even though they were bouncing back and forth between Gordon and Eckler, and they only passed when they had to, just to keep the defense honest. Is that the recipe, or are they going to be able to make adjustments here? Because Green Bay does have a tough out here in Carolina, and they have a solid run game with that Christian McCaffrey.
Well,
so what are your guys' thoughts?
The litmus test for them is they'll win the division.
Oh yeah,
San Francisco.
7-2.
I think that San Francisco. I'm not bypassing Carolina because they got a pretty good defense, but that San Francisco defense is that much better.
I like Green Bay though because they're coming off of a bye week.
And Frisco is not. But at the same token, they're playing in San Francisco.
Yep, that is
So
true.
those two games right there, could change the whole conference. Really, if they lose to those two teams, these are NFC games. These are NFC games. They lose both of those. They don't no longer have a stranglehold on the division.
Well,
they are actually fighting with somebody now.
But
at the top.
But if you take a look though, even if they did drop Carolina and San Francisco, they've got Giants, Washington, Chicago, and they got Minnesota and the Detroit. So so basically they round out their last 3 games all division matchups, which are winnable matchups.
Versus Minnesota.
They've already beat Minnesota, they've already beat Detroit, and they've already beat Chicago week 1. That was that 10-3 game.
That's what it was. I could have sworn it was like 7.
No, it was 10-3. I remember.
It was like all defense, no offense.
Yeah. And Minnesota, they've got coming. They got the Dallas one that we've already talked about. Denver's a winnable game. Then they go on their bye week. They go at Seattle, Detroit, winnable. At Chargers, winnable. Then they got Green Bay and Chicago. Chicago's winnable. Green Bay's the only one that I see that's.
I see the Dallas, Seattle, and the Green Bay games are losses for Minnesota. I see that. I see those 3 games
Because it's in Seattle.
The Seattle game is definitely because it's in Seattle. The Dallas game, I'm giving them the fact that I don't know which Kirk Cousins is going to show up.
Even if the
bad one shows up, they are gonna. If the bad one shows up, Chuck, they are gonna lose. I'm gonna tell you that.
They'll run for the money.
It won't even be a run for the money. If the bad Kirk Cousins shows up, they are gonna lose that game.
All right. So to end this segment, Green Bay division, yes or no?
Yes.
I'd say Minnesota edges out.
I say Green Bay.
All right. He says Minnesota.
I say Green Bay takes the division.
To me, it's a close race, but I think I'm gonna have to give it the edge to Green Bay. All right, moving on to the NFC South.
Chuck, you got it.
NFC South. I mean, it's New Orleans. I mean, who else?
I gave us the easy one, y'all.
They've got a solid two. They've got a solid 2-game lead. Now, looking at the NFC South, this is what I have: New Orleans, 4 winnable games. Their tough matches are Tampa Bay, Carolina, San Francisco, and Carolina again. So they're coming off a bye week. They got Atlanta. I don't even know if we can
I'll say this here. Drew Brees has been rested this whole time.
No, he hasn't. He played in the Arizona game.
But I'm saying he's been nursing the injury since game 1, right?
2.
He's game 2. Sorry, he's been sitting on the sideline, itching to get back in. I'm thinking this man might actually run the whole.
Oh, he's gonna. They're gonna light up Atlanta.
I think he's gonna run the whole thing.
Now the one that I'm giving him questionable just because of how Tampa Bay's been playing. I'm giving that one as a potential upset. It's in Tampa Bay, but that's definitely a winnable game. That New Orleans defense is stout. They do have Carolina twice on the schedule. We haven't seen them play Carolina yet, and they have San Francisco on. So those are the 3 games that I'm saying you got to give them pause. Yeah. So, but with Carolina, they have 4 winnable games as well. Green Bay, that one's a tough one. It's going to be tough for either one of them. But they have Atlanta, then they go to New Orleans, but they have Washington, and then Atlanta again. Seattle might give them some problems, but and then they got Indy. I see Carolina coming out with at least 9, maybe 10 wins.
Brissett will be back by then.
Yeah,
that'll be different. That'll be different.
So what do you guys think? Obviously, New Orleans is the favorite. I don't see Carolina getting enough to take the division, but I do see them potentially making a wild card.
New Orleans.
That's it.
New Orleans.
I don't see them.
You don't think they're going to make?
I don't think Carolina's going to make the wild card because I think.
Well, between Minnesota and Green Bay, they're going to take a division. They're going to take a wild card spot.
Right.
And yeah, you're probably right.
The next Philadelphia.
The next. Well, no. The next conference, NFC West, may take the other wild card, and we'll get to that here in a minute.
Yeah. But right now, everybody's in agreement that New Orleans is pretty much going to win this division.
Oh yeah.
I'm just thinking. I'm hoping they just run the table just for me.
Go 15-1.
Go 15-1.
Yeah, right.
I'm thinking they're gonna run the whole table. I'm putting it out there, y'all.
Hey, you know, if they take the San Francisco game, I think they just may do that. If they win all the way through San Francisco, week 14, and finish up Indy at Tennessee and at Carolina.
Yeah.
That's definitely
it is possible. It's actually more than possible. It's actually could happen. Like
all right, and which brings us to our final NFC conference. We have San Francisco in the lead, undefeated, with our biggest San Francisco fan over here.
Dun, 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 dun.
Undefeated. What you got, man? What do you want to say about your beloved San Francisco 49ers?
I've been quiet, man, last time. San Francisco's done a heck of a job this season. I mean, coming the last few seasons, they were not doing anything at all. Everyone probably wants to say it is the quarterback, but no, they have stepped up their game defensively and offensively. And most definitely Garoppolo is being a team player, for sure.
He definitely pulled out that win against Arizona.
Yeah.
I mean, defense wasn't getting the stops, and they needed him to make some plays, and he was able to pull it off.
They got a tough rest of the season against them, but it's not. I don't want to say it's not going to stop them because they are going to have ups and downs. Right now, they're the magnifying glasses on them highly. Seattle's going to be a challenge.
Whether it's in Seattle or in San Francisco.
Oh yeah. Well, they have Seattle twice on the schedule.
Yeah.
And just so you know, I get my 10 cents in here. I took a look at San Francisco, and we all kind of agreed when they first started out. It's like, who have you played?
Right. Now,
since then, they went to their bye week. They came out, beat up Cleveland. Not releasing their win. But that solid win over the Rams was legit. They finished it off with a definitive win against Washington Redskins, and then they followed it up with a win against Carolina, who's got a stout defense, and Kyle Allen has been playing well for Carolina. So the one that had me a little nervous, and it was that Arizona game. It was a little closer than it should have been. Now, granted, it was in Arizona, but they are playing them in 2 weeks. They have Seattle this week, Arizona the following week. Both of these are home games, but both of these are definite games that they need to be careful on. Their next 4 games, five
games,
are not going to be easy. They're going to be testing the resolve of the San Francisco 49ers.
I'll say this.
Seattle, Arizona, Green Bay, at Baltimore, at New Orleans.
I'll say this about San Francisco. The last remaining games, Atlanta's probably going to step up one sooner against somebody. They're going to have to. It could be this game. You know, they're probably going to have to step up and say something, but that's for another topic. But as far as them going undefeated through the season,
no,
not going to happen.
They got too many tough competition coming.
The next 5 games, he said Seattle, Arizona, Green Bay, Baltimore, New Orleans. 3 of those games they will lose. 3 of those games they will lose. Not sure which 3.
I was gonna go.
I'm gonna go this route. I'm not even gonna say which 3 because it's gonna. I think 3 of those games they'll lose. I think they'll lose to New Orleans. I think they'll lose to Baltimore. And I think they'll lose to Seattle.
I was gonna say Green Bay, but
one of the Seattle games.
I think I would be more inclined to say Seattle in Seattle.
I was thinking about that. Okay, at home they better be.
But I do like how they're playing. They do have Rams again on the schedule. I still think that they can beat the Rams again. So, but no, looking at this, San Francisco, they're in the lead. I think they could take the division, but at this point in time, Seattle is right on their heels.
Yep.
It could be one of the two. Now, this is also an interesting, depending on how Rams finish out, and how, who they beat and when they beat them and all that kind of stuff. I'm looking at potentially seeing 2 wild cards coming out of the NFC West.
Yeah, but this is also that division that's going to beat up on each other. Just like we said
true.
in the AFC, this is the division that's going to beat up each other on the NFC. Seattle, Rams.
But if they all get splits and get high enough wins,
you could probably get 2 wild cards out of it.
Just saying,
but they are. If you look at it, they're playing each other all from here on out.
That is true. Yeah, even the Rams.
They would have to win all their other games, no matter what the outcome is.
And San Francisco on here.
Yeah.
So but definitely an interesting one. We'll have to keep an eye on. But I think all the.
No, I'm not. I'm at home.
So I think we're all good. So that wraps up. Any topics you guys want to bring to the table before we close out?
Well, the last one I was gonna say everybody pick. Who you think right now? City. Does not standing, but just pick 6 in the AFC.
AFC right now.
Right now, who would you pick? Kendall. In the AFC.
Top 6, I'll go with New England. I guess because it's current standings. Anything can change, but you know what? I'll have to throw a ratchet in those mechanics. Top 6 AFC for me. Patriots, Bills, Texans, Chiefs, Ravens. And it's kind of tough. Steelers or Colts on that one of those two. But I'll say probably the Steelers because I'm a Steeler fan.
I don't know. I think I'm pretty close with that. Definitely New England, Buffalo. I think that they got both of them are going to make the playoffs. Baltimore, definitely. When it comes down to it, I think Houston's going to come up with more wins. Kansas City, obviously. I'm going to lean for my 6th. I'm going to lean toward Oakland. I think they have the best chance of getting the 10 wins in that last playoff spot.
Yep.
The standings pretty much speak for themselves. I don't think. I truly don't. The question mark is going to be the South, the AFC South. That's it. Everybody else is pretty much where they're going to be. Because with between Indy, Houston, and possibly, I just can't discredit Tennessee because they've been winning. I mean, not winning, but they have something there that can conjure up something else. I mean, Jacksonville's obviously out. But, I mean, Jacksonville's up, on the same level with Tennessee, but or not possibly Jacksonville because they're getting Nick Foles back. So, Nick Foles is coming back. So, they're going to do a quarterback change. So, you never know. Like, that's why I said the only question mark is the NFC South.
I don't know. Even with Nick Foles back, I think that he's gonna need a couple of games to get healthy.
With the 2 losses they've had to the Texans already, they're not going to win.
Wait, but the question is not picked, or are you just saying?
No, I'm just saying. I'm not questioning your pick. I'm just saying it's just not going to happen.
But
as for me, it's New England. I think they're going to either finish 1 or 2. Baltimore's 1 or 2. Texas number 3. Kansas City number 4. Buffalo get a wild card. Indianapolis gets the 6th wild, the second wild card. Finish the season just like that. I just don't see nobody down there making enough noise to overturn those 6 teams.
And that's definitely a very good possibility. Because as we've already stated, Pittsburgh needs to pretty much run out.
Yeah. And
they've got some tough competition on their schedule. I think the best they can probably do is like 9, maybe at 10 wins. Mm-hmm. Indy, they've got a solid 4 winnable games. They're 5-3. So it depends on if how many games they drop. Because without Jacoby, Indy's like the question mark. Yeah. If Indy drops too many games, Oakland's might fall back.
Yeah, I was gonna say Oakland's gonna. Looking at
then you got the Chargers also.
Looking at Oakland's schedule,
Oakland's schedule is
way easier than all of the teams we just mentioned.
Right. They've got 5 solid winnable games, and their tough matches are the likes of the Chargers twice, starting with tomorrow's game, and Kansas City.
I think that tomorrow night's game, I want to touch upon that. Tomorrow night's game, I think that's a watch for all of us need to watch.
I'll be, I think
that,
here watching.
That could actually change. That could actually change the scope of that division. Actually.
Oh yeah, it definitely will. And basically, I guess that wraps it up. One last chance to open up the floor for anybody.
NFC picks, guys.
Y'all want to do that one?
Top 6 the NFC.
Ooh, that's too hard, man. It's like I'm scared to say something.
10 seconds or less.
Frisco,
I got that. Yeah,
Frisco, New Orleans, Green Bay. They all win their divisions. Minnesota might make the playoffs. Seattle makes the playoffs, and Dallas wins the division.
As much as I want to say who was going to win the East Division, I think it's too close to tell.
Yep.
Dallas, it's obviously coming between Dallas and Philly, and I think they're going to it's going to be a slugfest to figure out who gets it. So only one person's coming out of that, and it's either going to be Dallas or Philly.
Yeah.
I think that there's a good chance that Green Bay and Minnesota can come out of the North.
Yeah.
As we've already discussed, we're not sure that Carolina can make it out, so that leaves only New Orleans out of the South, and that leaves the only other wild card spot, NFC West. Seattle. I'm going to put it this way. San Francisco's to lose, Seattle's to take. They're really close and when it comes down to it, it's like I trust Seattle more than I trust San Francisco. But
that makes sense.
With this stretch that they have coming up, San Francisco, I mean, this is going to be a test by gauntlet. And if they're not careful, Rams could back themselves into.
They can actually push their way forward and get in there.
Yep. So and it's something to watch. But we will definitely keep everybody posted and recap and reassess after week 13.
Hey, there you go.